So now that we got our basic server up and running, or the basic logic implemented, I should say, I want to continue adding more endpoints, and of course, we need more useful logic that's executed when we have incoming requests, because of course, ultimately, the goal is not to send back a dummy message like this. Therefore, I will actually create a new package here, which I'll call models, in which I'll have an event.go file. And that will belong to this models package. Because my idea here now is that in this event.go file, I want to have all the logic that deals with storing event data in a database later, for the moment just in some dummy variable, and that's related with fetching data and so on. So all that logic should be in here. In addition, in this event.go file, in this models package, I'll also create a custom event type, a custom struct, which simply defines the shape of an event in this dummy REST API. So the kind of data that makes up an event here in this application. And in this application, I, for example, want to have an ID in every event. And that should be an integer, let's say. I also want to have a name for every event, or a title, however you want to name this. I'll go with name. And that should be a string. Every event that can be created should also have a description that describes the event, which also should be of type string, and a location where it takes place, and that should also be a string. Then I also want to have a date time field, which stores the date and time at which this event will take place. And for that, we can use the time package, and then there, the time type. And last but not least, every event also will have a user ID attached to it, which simply links an event to the user who created that event. At the moment, we of course have no users, but that will change later. And this user ID should be of type int. So that's now the shape an event should have here in this demo application. These are the types of values I want to have for these fields. And now we can start adding a couple of functions or methods that allow us to interact with such an event. For example, we can add a save method that should be attached to this struct that will save such an event to the database later, for the moment simply into a variable. So to turn this into a method, we of course add this receiver argument where we get the event on which save is called. And we can either get it as a copy or as a pointer, doesn't really matter here. And then here we'll later add it to a database, so we'll store it in a database. For the moment, I'll simply add a variable here in this event.go file, which I'll name events, and which should store a slice of events. And I'll actually initialize this to an empty slice of events, like this, by using this literal notation here. And of course, therefore, we can also get rid of this type here and just write it like this. And now in this save method here, we can go to events and add a new event. So we can overwrite events by calling append and appending a new event to events. And that new event should be that event on which we call save. That's then added to this slice of events.